Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I'm on chess.com and I just got paired up playing a 5-0 game. So we certainly need to stay ahead on the clock with this. I cannot lean on my best friend, the increment. Maybe this was already a little bit off. Maybe I should have questioned that bishop right away. I'm going to look to hunt him down. Post up here. Obtain the bishop pair. I expect my knight's going to be challenged. Okay. Okay. Let's just take. And queen b3, bishop here. Our first take here. I'm going to go queen b3. Pressure here. And then bishop to g2. So I'm going to keep this sitting. I feel like I've played this exact position before. Okay, so queen's off. b4 is weakened. Knight a6 to b4 is probably an idea. Can black put pressure on b3, I wonder? I could already consider maybe an e4 strike, increasing some pressure on d5. Right now it's hit 3 times. Defended twice, but 2 pawns. Okay, so that's where they're headed. I wonder if king e2 is a good spot. Let's just start with this. I think king e2 will be a pretty good residence. Yeah, really don't see much harm with having my king go uncastled. e2 should be fine, a light square. Sidestep this bishop. So what about e4 right now? I think I kind of like e4, however, knight c2 hits this point. Let's get out of knight c2 with tempo. And, you know, only after they played a6 am I moving my rook off of the d file. So probably now this move. Increase the pressure on d5. Seems sensible. I have the bishop pair. Let's open it up. See how they react to this pressure. On knight f6 I might hold ground with first f3, give the knight a kick, and only then look to take. Just keep some tension in the center. I have to be a little bit careful of knight b6. c4 could be sensitive. I really don't have he's a kingside specific bishop, so he won't be around to watch over this sensitive point c4. But I imagine I could always consider this if knight b6 is too much of an issue. Okay, so they are going for that. Straightening out my pawn structure. Knight b6, now I have b3. Okay. I see. I don't know if I want to just close it up. I think takes so that I have this advance. Takes, knight takes, b3, g5, however. Maybe it is important that I push. Yeah, I think I need to push. Let's go for this. So, ideally I'd like to have it open up, but maybe I could try to show that this pawn is annoying. A slight space advantage. Maybe f4. To be careful of my dark squares. Okay. Bishop here was my idea. What about f4 right now? Yeah, maybe f4 right now. Or first question that knight. Let's question this knight. Knight b3 to d4 is an idea. Could think about d6. It's a passed pawn, but d6 with maybe knight a4, knight b3 d6 with knight a4 into b6. Wow, that's very surprising. Was not expecting that. I think I do well to eliminate their strong knight on b4. Could pivot about on the d5 square with the rook. Threatening c5 right now. Prepare to double. Maybe b4. b4 with c5. They can't play a5 just yet. They might want to challenge my rook. Actually, I'm hitting e5 as well. Let's look at the most direct stuff first. hitting c5, hitting e5. How do they defend both? Knight back. This gives me time to develop a new piece with tempo. Knight d7, rook double, knight b6. I actually have that covered. So there's no worry there. I have b6 covered. Whew, queenside castle. I was not expecting that. c5? g6, actually, or g5. Yeah, I think I really like this move. To stop knight f6, challenging my strong post on d5. If the knight moves, I track him down, and this also paves the way for bishop f3 to g4. And that'll be a lights-out move. So, yeah, this is my idea. There wouldn't be any time to take on h3, bishop g4. c5, b4 is an idea. If the knight moves, I have bishop to b6. I don't know if I'll be so quick to take on this square. Still playing with the two bishops. Bishop here, this pawn is still immune. Yeah, let's go for this. I could take twice on this square and then follow up with bishop g4 if they take on h3. Are they going to push this pawn? Critical moment. I think I must have something here with the bishop coming to g4. I also have a time edge. A first? Yeah, the knight still can't move. I could consider just taking on e5. I think the big issue... Okay. So I guess they're preparing knight c5. But I could still go with this and look to still take here. Knight c5, I'm defending here and hitting the bishop. Rook takes, I just recapture. Okay, yeah, let's just recapture. Still on the bishop. They'll get the rook active with check. I just come back to e2. Stay off the same color as the knight. Back on the bishop. They're going to get that pawn back, aren't they? Huh. Okay. Let's get out of that. Knight takes e4. If the bishop moves somewhere other than e7, I take on b6 and then win the exchange. I feel like there should be something here. Bishop here is an idea, maybe? What about b4? That's a good way to lend fork. Knight c3. Let's not do that. Okay. Suppose bishop d4. Drop this pawn. Let's make a move. Defend g5. Okay. I want to get rid of that knight. Let's go here. Don't know which piece is better to take. Actually, I do. I'm going to take with the king, attack the knight. He has to move, and then I have rook to the 7th, and I get to start mopping up these pawns. Yeah, this knight is out of play. Well, I mean, this is a fine square, but yeah, maybe I should actually. Let's throw in the. No, actually, they're defending that. I gotta defend. I gotta defend c4. I guess the rook is gonna play there. Okay, I'm gonna go like this. I want to secure this dark square from the king. If they take, it's a far advanced pawn. Okay. And I have the bishop, so let's go here. I'm going to hunt down those pawns. They're going to take the b pawn, but I have the superior bishop. Both sides of the board are still relevant with having the bishop, and in fact, they're going to be busted on the clock. Ooh, okay. Well, that was a first clockwise. Usually it's the other way around, but yeah, I was playing a little bit faster early on, so in the end it put some pressure on my opponent, but just to go back, This middle game was interesting. I think I played, who was it? Maybe some time ago. I think the player Smarter Chess on chess.com with something like this, maybe, where I had the bishop pair and we had this structure where I have the doubled b pawns, queenless middle game, and then the knight arriving on b4. I wonder, the computer would probably be saying that I have a slight edge here, but I don't think anything substantial. This is certainly where it's heating up. I find it hard that this is a good move to take on c4. I find it hard to believe, straightening out the pawns. But, you know, black is playing with a very clear idea in mind to follow up and then strike at my pawn trio with e5. And this grants the minor pieces access to c5. They have good pieces. I think e5 is fine. This knight's unprotected. Oh no, he's not unprotected. He's in a hole in my position. He's supported well. I think that the e5 is fine. I think right around here, the capture on d5, yeah. I think something else could be played. I think knight b3 is fine. Maybe not. Maybe this pawn could start to run. Let's say knight b3 and I just push. Not really thinking I could push through completely, but no, actually, why even push right away? Here's one thing I have to be concerned about, actually, with knight b3. It's the move, let's just make a passing move, it's the move c5 within the idea of knight d4, and there's just no way I could be better. I don't see how I could be better if I'm trying to work around a knight on d4. I could remove the knight, but then it's either one thing or the other. You work around a knight on d4, or you have to deal with black having a connected pass pawn. So I'd have to really come up with something if instead of this capture, they played knight b3. Maybe I would shoot for d6. Maybe it's important I do that. And then, boy, you know what? I don't even know where the bishop goes, because I could kick him away further. Maybe best is, tough call, here. And then this is maybe still an idea with knight d4. So I can consider c5 or even knight a4. Interesting position. We'll have to see what the computer suggests right around here, but I still think that this is not really going to be the best. Beyond that, I was gaining some tempi to get my pieces mobilized, generating threats, doubling rooks. Wonder if there was a better way I could have approached this. I didn't see that they're going to hunt my e-pawn down. And yeah, I guess after takes here, I'm going to be the better side. No. Maybe hold ground here and not take. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I'm better off here, because after bishop f3, there's no time for the king to try to come over here to defend f7. So I have pressure on the knight. And if the game continued, this pawn I could hunt down with my king. And probably a good idea to start going in this direction right now. Something like this here. And he's going to be a monster. Outside pass pawn, a rook pawn. It's too much work for that knight to hunt him down. Okay, well, we'll have to confirm things with the Stockfish and see where we can make some improvements. Okay, Stockfish, show us the way. Where can we make an improvement here? I had mentioned early on that maybe best was to immediately give this bishop, throw a question to the bishop right now. But okay. It's knight c3, can't be bad. Alright, I go for this line to obtain the bishop pair. What about this knight d7 move? I guess on this, maybe there was some fear of like h4. And this is sometimes a concern. You know, you can't do this because of knight takes bishop, and taking away from the center and giving up the bishop pair is a big issue for black. But I guess on h4 there's d takes c. And suppose this move right now, there would follow knight takes. If I'm recapturing, then there's the queen exchange. And, well, okay, actually this is something I was overlooking. The bishop does have a new square available. Sometimes there's this issue where the bishop can be trapped. You know, he tries to go here and there's f3. After this capture on c4, this new square is available on d3. So maybe that's why this move was played. Sometimes this is, in fact, the best way to treat a knight in the black position, to challenge it here. Because if I'm to just make a passing move like, well, actually this capture, suppose captures right now. This is sometimes the issue. That's why sometimes it's better to challenge the knight with the f knight, because after the capture on e5, there's still two issues here. I'm threatening the knight and threatening to play h5, hunting down this light square bishop. So by challenging the knight on e5 with the knight on f, at least when you take here, I'm not recapturing with an attack on the f6 knight. Okay, so we had knight f to d7 in the end. H takes, queen b3, likes queen c7, and now avoiding the queen exchange. Okay. Still slight pull here. King e2 is fine. c5 I gave no thought to. I just went with that. Rook c1. Okay, I played e4. Doesn't really like e4. What was the big idea? I don't know if I'll be able to figure it out, but what's the big idea with c5 here? Suppose they do the same thing with bishop e7. Oh! Ah, that's cool. They're looking to trap the knight. c5, cutting out the defensive b4. Knight d1. What are you doing about the knight? You're not defending it. The rook is unprotected on a8. Ah. Well, that's interesting. So a6 and then c5, cutting off the defense here. And apparently, I mean, given just this little time for the computer to think, apparently best is b6. Immediately taking action against this, trying to defend the knight on b4, basically, with b6 breaking down the structure, breaking through at c5. Well, that's something to keep in mind. Yeah, I didn't give any thought to this. c5. Okay. I like that. I think it popped up for a moment. Knight d1 instead. Maybe I would actually prefer this move over c5 immediately. This is a much more committal move when you consider knight d1 and c5. I like still maintaining some flexibility here. Maybe I take, maybe I push. Well, that's interesting. Okay, c5. Noted. Played rook d1. e4. Even position, it likes the capture on c4, and then the follow-up of e5. I played d5. Yeah, I think I must. Black starts to get too active after takes, knight takes. If I have one more move, like if I already had b3 in, it's a much different story. But the issue I believe we'll be seeing is that on b3, g5 will hit. And yes, that's the problem. I don't have time to dislodge now this strongly placed knight on e5. Given an additional move, suppose b3 and a passing move a5, now f4 gets hit. The knight has to go to a not so safe square, and these guys are mobile. Think about pushing with e5, computer points on knight a4. But yeah, it's not quite working out if I'm to take on e5. I don't know if I was really able to express that while playing. So I went with d5. It likes an immediate knight c2 into d4 as an idea. Okay. Knight c5, f4. I think I thought about f4 with then if this bishop here, I think was an idea I had. Yeah, but they could just take here, huh? Very complicated. Okay. I didn't play f4, I played bishop e3. It likes knight c2. Okay, this is where I was pointing out I didn't think that this was good, and the computer is confirming that. This is where there's a pretty significant shift. Close to a pawn advantage now for white. With e takes d5. But I'm a little bit curious about this move knight b3. This is where I was pointing out moves like d6. Bishop h4, and then maybe knight a4. It's an idea. But, f4? Okay, f4. There's no time to really have a strong grip over d4. I was pointing out before about c5 and then anchoring a knight on d4. But this comes really quick with undermining black's center with f4. Still likes knight c2 here. So knight b3 wouldn't have been best. Likes knight c2. Okay. I took with the knight, which is not best. Better is to take with the e-pawn. It's bringing him a bit more to life. Now it's just one moment away from pushing, and then he's finally seeing black side of the board. Okay. This is maybe when you consider the two captures, there's that rule of thumb, take towards the center unless there's a good reason not to. Good reason not to, in this case, to take in this direction. Just, generally speaking, kind of makes him that much more difficult. It's that much more difficult to get the light square bishop involved if there are two pawns in his way. So this is maybe an instance where we can shy away from that rule of thumb and not take towards the center. Taking like this, having a new square for the bishop, also the knight, and we are just one move away from unmasking our light square bishop. The unopposed bishop. The X-factor bishop. Okay, I took with the knight, looking to just pivot about on the d5 square. Likes knight e6. Alright, so, I'm seeing that on the black end there's a great focus. These suggestions are all kind of pointing at the d4 square. We had knight c2, eyeing up d4, and now we have knight to e6. So, I guess black could have had a better time if they were focused on the d4 square, looking to take advantage of the weaknesses within my position. And these are the most sensitive points in my position, both d4 and f4. Both are holes and both already have the support of this black pawn. Okay. Instead, after takes, on the preferred side, it's still liking to take with the e-pawn. I took with the rook, which isn't bad. Right there. c5. Okay. I just doubled. Played g5. It likes g5. f4. breaking down the center, eliminating that strong central pawn. I just went about it playing within the structure. Bishop f3. There is no time to take here because of the multiple captures on this square, and then at the end there's this fork. So we had b6, bishop g4, knight c5. Oh, I could just take on c5. What did I do? I just took right away, which isn't bad at all. Oh, now it likes that better. But what's the idea behind taking the knight? Bishop takes. Oh, I have rook d7. Not to exchange. I'm just seeing it like, oh, we're really going to exchange both sets of rooks and have the opposite color bishop ending? No. I'm forgetting I could be pivoting about on d7 with a rook because of the bishop on g4. Ah. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't really even seeing that. Knight c5, eliminating the defender of d7 and then dropping right in there. Bishop takes knight. Suppose... Yeah, even this. Oh, you could just take on this square and take the bishop and play with the two minor pieces versus the rook. Okay. Didn't see this idea of pivoting on e7. I just took on e5, which is still good, and now I could actually get away with taking the bishop on e7, +4 nearly. Oh, man. I'm seeing it now. You could take the bishop, and if the king plays to d8, you could play here. The rook on d1 is hit, and also we're ready to pick up the rook in the corner with rook a8. That would have been nice to see. And one other detail is, let's say king here, we can take the knight at the very least. And then after pawn takes, there's rook d7. Just defending, and we get the rook next. Ah, that would have been a nice way to finish. So from this point here, where there are these hanging pieces, the bishop, the rook, I just went with the most natural recapture, and that throws away the winning advantage. King up. Yeah, pretty even now. And likes rook e5. F takes. I went with king takes just because it's attacking the knight. Knight d6, b3, rook there. Yeah, just a slight pull with f4. And after the rook exchange, knight b7, e6 it likes. I went bishop f3. I guess this final position, oh, okay, that's a losing move. They got to play knight to e6. Yeah, what did they do? They just took on b, getting a passed a pawn, but this will be winning now. The final position. Let's just play it out some. Suppose a5 could take right away. What if he continues to run? Well, I just push here. I don't need my king to defend against the passed a pawn. a3, bishop to b1 will be the defense against the pawn, and he's just way too fast. The h pawn. Okay, wow. Interesting game. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen, of course, this capture when things were heating up, when we had multiple hanging pieces right around here. Rook takes rook is not... It's not coming with check or anything, so, and there are these other captures to be considering. I did look at this, and I didn't voice it during the game, but I completely discounted it because after king to d8 I saw, what am I doing with my rook on e7, and how am I going to be regaining this rook? I didn't see the idea of coming back here to a8 and getting the rook in the corner. Okay, well, interesting game. As usual, feel free to leave any feedback in the comment section below to this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. That's all for now. Hope you're having a good day. Take care.